gosh, I'm very surprised.
The guest brought in an ethereal necklace given to her grandmother by the Emperor of China at the birth of her father. It is a 19th century jadeite, finely clothed with brilliant green that is translucent. The necklace features a nice coral bead, a lovely sequence, and Chinese characters made by Sushi. Sushi was the first member of the Emperor family ever to do a public relations campaign with the West. When there was a fallout with the Europeans, her quality pieces for the women were their surviving grace. This jade necklace is of high quality, but not the best jade, and will be estimated at auction for
$30,000 to $50,000.
Oh my gosh, I'm very surprised.
Few people can claim to own such a unique historical golf artifact. This guest, however, is one of those rare individuals, having discovered this antique golf ball in an antique store back in 1971. His interest in golf led him to purchase this fascinating feathery golf ball. These types of balls were made using boiled feathers measured with a top hat, then stuffed into a leather cover. This particular ball dates back to the 1830s to 1850, a time when they were used with long-nosed wooden-shafted clubs in Scotland. Scotland, often regarded as the birthplace of golf, produced these leather-covered balls typically made from bull's hide. Due to their complexity and cost, feather balls were a luxury item reserved for the wealthy.
In those days, a good feather ball maker could only make 3 to 10 balls a day. It was very labor intensive.
These fragile feather balls could be hit up to 200 yards by expert golfers of the time, a far cry from the 300-yard drives common today.
They're only good for about 6 holes of golf, and they would tear and explode.
Today, only a few hundred feather balls are known to exist, making them highly prized by collectors. Given its rarity and historical value, this feather ball is estimated to be worth,
I would probably put about $4,000 to $6,000.
Wow. Very nice.
The guest brought in 2 fine pieces of art, a pitcher and a plate, for appraisal. These are Picasso ceramics made in 1946 when Picasso was in residence in the south of France. He made thousands of pieces within 24 years using motifs in ceramic. However, out of the over 3,500 pieces he made, 600 were picked and additions were made, from which these pitcher and plate came. The pitcher and plate were made in 1954 and 1955, respectively. Furthermore, the pitcher has a beautifully designed body, and at the bottom is a mark and signature. But there are noticeable chips at the edges of the pitcher. Therefore, it would sell at $5,000 to $7,000 at an auction. However, the plate is in good condition and has the same mark and signature as the pitcher, and at an auction would be worth
$12,000 and $15,000.
Oh, that's interesting. I would have thought the pitcher would have brought more.
This guest brought in a bat buckle she purchased in Pennsylvania for appraisal. The stones are considered as paste, and it is a belt and sash buckle. It was made between 1900 to 1915 in the Germany-Austrian style known as Jugendstil, meaning youth style. Furthermore, it is made of German metal, which is a mixture of nickel, zinc, and copper. Also, the stones are early rhinestones. This old piece, bought at $20 by the guest, would at an auction be estimated at
$400 to $500. Wow.
This comfort furniture was acquired by the guest on a distress sale of $150. It was made in Detroit, my Detroit furniture country. This piece of furniture can be called the cantilevered chaise longue with a rare design. It's made for industrial or commercial use because it's constructed with a full steel frame. Looking at the bottom, you can see a scroll, then the frame comes up with the steel sticking out at the side and covered with wicker. Age estimate is around 1890 to 1910, and though faded, it has an original seat that is a wonderful emerald green color. This chaise longue is believed to have come from a sanitarium or retreat. Though it has a label of the Comfort Furniture Company in Detroit, that is not to say that this furniture was not gotten from the sanitarium in Michigan called Battle Creek Sanitarium. Another reason it's believed to be industrial furniture is because there are holes in the legs for it to be bolted to a position. There is a bit of fraying here and there, but it still looks in good shape with a conservative retail price of
So value on this, we have, all of my colleagues and I got together, and if we saw this in a good antique show, I would expect a retail price to be around about $3,000.
Okay, nice.
Guest inherited this intriguing piece from her husband's father, an antique dealer in Galveston, who left a collection of items when he passed away. The appraiser began by examining the lid of the piece, revealing a mark that read E. Galley Faïencerie, with Nancy underneath.
Faïencerie is another word for a particular type of pottery, and this is Émile Galley, that's his mark. Émile Galley is best known as a glassmaker, working from the town of Nancy in eastern France.
This particular piece, likely from the 1880s or 1890s, is a dressing table box designed to hold small items like pins and jewelry. The appraiser appreciated the shape of the box, which the guest described as a butterfly, but was actually a moth. Galley and other French Art Nouveau designers favored ordinary elements like moths and local flora and fauna. The box's design, including painted insects such as a grasshopper, was influenced by Japanese art, which had a significant impact on Galley at the time. The appraiser clarified that the box was made of faience, a type of pottery with a tin glaze that gives it a bluish-white finish, not glass or porcelain. Much to the guest's satisfaction, he estimated that a piece like this could fetch between...
I think if it came to auction, the low estimate would be $1,000, and the high estimate would be perhaps $1,500.
Very good.
A beautiful mesh purse, a treasured heirloom inherited from their grandmother who lived in New York City, was brought in by the guest. The guest's mother used to call it a mad money purse, likely a place to stash some secret spending money. The purse is a 14-karat yellow gold change purse from the late 1890s, likely part of the Gilded Age or late Victorian era. These purses were popular at the time, but this particular example was in excellent condition, with the intricate mesh intact and the clasp mechanism functional, uncommon for such vintage purses. The most striking feature was a large 10-karat amethyst stone adorning the top. The amethyst, a beautiful violet gemstone, added a touch of luxury to the purse. The purse also had a hallmark identifying the maker as Carter Go Company, a renowned jeweler from Newark, New Jersey. Carter Go Company was a well-respected firm that produced high-quality jewelry during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Having a hallmark from this prestigious maker added significantly to the purse's value. Considering the gold content, excellent condition, and prestigious maker, the estimated retail value of the purse is
$5,000 and $7,000.
Wow. Hoo-ha.
The guest brought this painting by Sidney Lawrence, a famous Alaskan artist, for appraisal. She explained that her husband's great-aunt, a friend of Lawrence, had originally owned this piece. The appraiser noted that Lawrence, contrary to the guest's belief that he was from England, was actually born in Brooklyn in 1865 and spent about 15 years in England before moving to Alaska around 1903 or 1904, where he became a gold prospector and later a renowned artist. The appraiser identified the painting's subject as Indian fish cache, a traditional structure for storing food out of reach of animals. The frame appeared original, with the artist's label on the back, dating the painting back to 1922. Lawrence was particularly known for his paintings of Mount McKinley, now known as Denali, though this painting featured a different subject. The appraiser highlighted the painting's light tonality and the detailed brushwork depicting flowers and smoked fish. When asked about the painting's value, the guest mentioned her husband's estimate of $25,000, though she had no idea of its worth. Much to the guest's satisfaction, the appraiser valued the painting at...
At auction, I believe it would make somewhere in the region of $8,000 to $12,000. If you wanted to insure it, I would suggest around about $20,000.
Okay.
So it's not too far off.
No.
Our guest shares the history of the piece, mentioning it has been in the family since the 1930s and was used as a music stand or record player stand. The appraiser examines the piece, noting its stylistic elements bridging Art Nouveau and arts and crafts styles. They highlight the naturalistic carving and oak material typical of the late 19th century. The appraiser identifies the piece as a music stand or portfolio stand, possibly made around 1905 by Charles Rolfs, an American furniture maker known for his unique and charismatic designs. They point out a cipher under the stand resembling a saw and sickle with an R, which stands for Charles Rolfs, and discuss Rolf's approach to design. The appraiser praises the mystery and uniqueness of Rolf's works, noting that his pieces are found in museums across the country and have been featured in major exhibitions. Our guest mentions their husband's desire to discard the piece due to its condition, to which the appraiser humorously responds, estimating the piece's value at auction to be,
I would estimate at auction this piece is worth between $40,000 and $60,000.
Oh my gosh.
Favored by many arts and crafts collectors, this Heinz art metal lamp carries a legacy that dates back to the early 20th century. The lamp, a treasured piece, features a rare original paper label on the bottom, bearing the emblem of Heinz AMS Art Metal Shop from Buffalo, New York. Patented in 1912 by Mr. Heinz, this lamp showcases a unique process of overlaying silver on a bronze base. One of its most charming features is the Japanese-style water lily pattern, elegantly decorating both the base and the shade. In today's market, this Heinz art metal lamp with its unique patina is worth,
but in this condition for a retail price, it's probably about $2,500.
That's good to know.
Our guest shares that they bought the comics when they were 11 or 12 years old and kept them in a box for over 50 years before bringing them to the show. The appraiser discusses the significance of Marvel's Silver Age, which began in 1961, and explains how certain issues became key collector's items due to their historical importance. They highlight key issues in the collection, such as Fantastic Four number 48.
It's the first appearance of Galactus and, more importantly, the Silver Surfer. Fantastic Four 48 is your best book by far.
And Fantastic Four number 52, first appearance of Black Panther, assigning values to each based on their condition, and
the Black Panther is the hottest character right now in the Marvel Universe, easily at auction. This is a $800 to $1,200 comic.
The appraiser conservatively estimates the entire collection to be worth,
the entire collection, I think you easily have $30,000 to $40,000 worth of comics here.
Noting that certain comics in higher grades could be worth significantly more, with Fantastic Four number 52 potentially reaching $100,000 in mint condition. Here is a ball and a tiny silver bat given to Babe Ruth in 1919 when he made his 29 home runs for the Boston Red Sox. The guest bought this item from an online auction for $1,900. Babe Ruth is considered one of the greatest sportsmen of all time and the greatest baseball player. One of the reasons he was considered the greatest sportsman of all time is because he would have had a Hall of Fame career as a pitcher if he wasn't a slugger. Babe Ruth joined the Red Sox in 1914 as a pitcher and won 20 games in 2 years. His remarkable career ran from 1914 until 1927, when he set a record of 60 home runs that Roger Maris broke in 1961. This award was specially made for him in appreciation for his exemplary career. The flip side of this ball is made of marine ivory, probably walrus, while the little silver bat has engraved upon it 29 home runs and Babe Ruth's name at the back. A reasonable auction estimate for this masterpiece would be
$1,000 to $15,000.
Wow. Terrific. Oh, this is wonderful. A home run.
This guest won a tracksuit with a script from a charity auction for just $100. The tracksuit was worn by Tony Soprano on the famous Soprano Show, Season 5, Episode 11, titled The Test Dream. The episode featured Tony wearing the tracksuit in a long kitchen scene with Carmela. Another great thing is that the charity auction got the item from the production unit of the show, so it's an original piece. Most of their costumes came with a simple tag, and this tracksuit was no different. The script attached to it is a file copy that was never used for production, but kept as a photocopy of the pilot episode. Currently, the auction estimate range for this tracksuit is $2,000 to $3,000. For the script, a conservative auction estimate would be $1,000 to $1,500.
Wow, I never would have expected that. That's amazing. Wow.
The guest brought in a beautiful sci-fi art illustration gifted to her by her mother from Mary Binkley, sister to the maker and artist Rick Binkley. In illustration art, there's the popular pin-up art and children's book illustration, but sci-fi is an area gaining more ground lately. An interesting thing about this art is that it has a book cover identifying the book's name and who the author is. Another great part of this piece is that they are all from Avalon, a primary publishing art where the author worked. A good thing about the illustration market is that the artist and author both share a 50% value each. It would have been more valuable if it was not B- paperbacks. However, art in its range would be auctioned for.
His range would be between $2,000 and $3,000 at auction. Now these, if we can identify them to a certain book, they'd be the same value.
Bought from a home full of dolls that were bought for $100 per piece, these lovely dolls are presented to the host. The first is an American Griner doll having an original Griner paper label at the back. The Griner Company was established in Philadelphia where beautiful papier-mâché dolls were made. Although Griner dolls are larger, this one has its original painting, nice hairstyle, and nice size. But over the years, her dress has deteriorated. Regardless, she is still worth $1,000 to $1,500 on the market.
But underneath the clothing, there's a body of fabric.
The second one is a French fashion lady doll that generally sells between $4,000 to $6,000. Also, she has good paperweight eyes, a beautiful complexion, and a nice size. Because of her size, she would be worth more than $6,000. A fabulous bracelet from the Deutsche Bank family brought into the United States in the late 30s from Germany is presented. This bracelet, hidden for about 27 years, is a stylistic transitional piece. Mostly Edwardian, going into Art Deco, this piece has a nice heavy yellow gold band with beautiful vine-like elements made out of platinum, diamonds, and natural pearls holding it. These Burma rubies match each other perfectly as they are jointed, giving them a supple texture. Everything is great with this piece, from quality to the pearls and the design, but it does not have a signature. However, from the design, it was probably made in Germany between 1910 and 1918, but was more expensive at that time. In 2003, America banned Burma rubies from coming into the country after this piece was made, so it is a lovely piece to have at this time. Moreover, when you put this bracelet on before, it undulates like a river, making it all the more magnificent piece to behold. Plus, it comes from a prominent family. Due to its rarity, if it had to be insured, it would probably be insured for...
It has everything going for it. If I had to insure it, I would put probably $20,000 on it.
An angelic sculpture gifted to the guest by her employer in the 1980s was brought in. On the back of the sculpture is the title Angel, signed by Oropallo. Sandra Oropallo is an artist still active in the San Francisco Bay Area. This award-winning artist started in 1981 as a student and in 1991 received an award from the National Endowment of the Arts. She is still a very active exhibited artist living in San Francisco Bay. The majority of her works are sold in retail and exhibited in auctions and contemporary art. So, this is a cast concrete sculpture and was deliberately sculpted to look distressed. Because she majorly works on oil paint, if this was in auction, it would be worth...
We would see it at an estimate of $2,000 to $3,000.
Wow, that's very exciting. Very exciting. I'm thrilled.
Our guest presents a soldier's memorial and a blanket that belonged to their great-great-grandfather, a Civil War veteran. These items were passed down through the family, with the guest receiving them due to their interest in Civil War history. The appraiser explains that while soldier memorials like the one presented are common,
and it's a simple blanket, but it's a very important thing during the Civil War because they ran out of them.
This blanket, referred to as a shoddy blanket, was important during the Civil War due to its scarcity and poor quality, made quickly and in large quantities. The blanket features lines indicating where it could be cut to create two blankets and a hole for the head, suggesting it was worn as a poncho by the soldier. Despite missing sections and showing signs of wear, the blanket is valued at...
full of character, and it would probably retail today for about $2,000.
Wow. Wow, that's really amazing. I would never have guessed that. You know, you're exactly right.
The guest brought in a blanket chest that her grandparents used for keeping rugs for appraisal. The design showcases Spanish colonial influence from the southwestern American parts. Cabinet makers in this area used local wood, Panda Rose pine, to make furniture because hardwood didn't grow there. This piece is decorated with iconography, perhaps with some local characteristics like clouds or fishes. Hence, the starfish carving designs on the body of this furniture. It was made in the 19th century when iron was very expensive in the region, so they did not use nails, but instead put the chest together with modern synthetic construction. With pegs or pins, they held the joints together, but pieces of iron were used for the clasps and hinges, which a blacksmith would have had to make. This kind of furniture is rare in the market and has a conservative estimate of
$3,000 to $5,000.
That's nice.
Guests brought in a set of Beatles dolls that their grandmother bought for them in 1964 or 1965. The dolls are in remarkable condition, especially considered they have detachable instruments which are often lost. Each doll still has its original price tag from Woolworth's, priced at $1.99 each. It's noted that having the complete set of 4 dolls is quite special, as fans would often only have their favorite Beatles doll, such as Paul or George. Without their boxes, the dolls would typically sell for $400 to $600 at auction, but since these are complete with boxes, instruments, and in excellent condition, this Beatles dolls set could easily fetch at...
You're probably looking at between $1,000 and $1,500 at auction.
Okay, I'm happy.
Okay.
Thank you.
This guest presented 2 exquisite lace dresses she acquired at an estate sale. The first dress, dating from around 1905, is a classic example of tape lace.
The people I bought them with urged me to buy them, and they were just interestingly made. I'd never seen anything made that way, so I bought them.
It features a high collar, characteristic of the period, and full sleeves that gather at the elbow. The dress showcases a powder pigeon chest design achieved by the corsets of the time that shaped the body into an S-curve, creating a blousy front. This piece was designed as an afternoon tea gown and extends long and straight with a lovely train. The second dress, from about 1925, exemplifies Irish crochet or Irish lace. This type of lace was often shipped to America and distributed in major cities.
It has a waistband that's been changed. It has sort of a big cotton waistband.
Although it has had a modified waistband, it still retains its charm. While less elaborate than some other examples of Irish lace, it is entirely handmade and highly wearable, and at auction, these pieces would sell for...
It has a retail value of about $750.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you did very well. Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
This 1914 silent film poster reminded the guest of gasoline, so he bought it for $500. It is a movie poster from 1914, one of those movies that are outdated. On it is a record of the director whose name was not mentioned, and also the names of the actors. The poster has an interesting message, looking like a story of temperance about anti-drinking, which is not true. But the poster shows a woman who is losing a game of cards and is getting upset. Looking at the diamonds and hearts in the poster, you would think they are hand-drawn, but they are actually lithographs. The interesting part is that it is a bridge poster and a playing card motif. There are no comparables for this kind of piece anywhere, hence it's difficult to put a price on a bridge poster that is out of vogue. If it were a poker or chess image, it would have had an additional value. But as it is, an auction estimate for this piece would be between...
At auction, an estimate for this piece would be between $1,500 and $2,000.
Okay. Well, I did good then.
If it were a poker image,
right,
the value would probably be double or triple.
Man.
Our guest presents a family heirloom, a front plate for a militia cap, which has been passed down since the late 1700s or early 1800s. They believe it originated from New York and was potentially part of a military uniform. The appraiser confirms that it is indeed a front plate for a militia cap, which would be worn on a felt hat with a plume attached. The plate is made of japanned tin and features an eagle, sunburst, and clouds, all in original paint, which is rare as many similar items have been repainted. The appraiser estimates its value at auction to be at...
Identify you as a member of the militia.
I would say at auction, I would put this in at $800 to $1,200.
Oh, wow.
Guest's great-grandmother owned this clock in Colombia, which was later passed down to the guest through their grandfather and father. The clock features calendar rolls with the month and day written in Spanish.
I'm not on the same trip, but yes.
This clock would have been made for the South American market.
During the 1860s, 1870s, and 1880s, America was a major exporter of clocks, providing affordable timepieces to various parts of the world, including expensive models like this one. The clock features a unique dial format with a blacked-out upper dial with silver figures and
Bottom dial is glass and it's painted on reverse.
It has a calendar feature that displays the month, day of the week, and day of the month, and it is in excellent condition, except for a missing calendar hand. This clock is perpetual, meaning it automatically adjusts for variation in months and leap years if kept wound and set correctly, making it a standard complicated clock of its time. The model is called the 3½, and it bears the company's trademark engraved on the pendulum bob. At a clock auction, this clock could sell for
A clock auction, it would probably sell for $2,500.
Wow. Yeah, I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that at all.
Only a few pieces of furniture have the unique characteristics of this antique sideboard. The guest's parents purchased the sideboard in 1975 and passed it on to them. The sideboard, attributed to an early 1800s Quaker cabinet maker named George Wiley, features beautiful figured mahogany veneers. Unique to this piece is a hidden butler's desk within the middle drawer, exemplifying its multifunctional design. The piece can be dated to around 1825, as seen from the shift from intricate inlays to plainer veneers during that period.
Is coming into focus a little bit. The peaked pediment on this kind of recalls the Parthenon, and that sort of like urge for that pure classicism is what we start to see in this period.
The sideboard's Kentucky origins are suggested by the use of poplar and white pine secondary woods.
I think it probably is a Kentucky sideboard.
Oh, cool.
And especially given its retrieval history and where it came from.
Although its sentimental value remains immeasurable with its historical charm, this sideboard at auction would fetch.
I think on the auction block, it would bring less. It's probably more like a $1,000 to $2,000 piece.
Before us is a beautiful portrait of two children, a boy and a girl. The guest inherited this folk art portrait from her grandmother. It shows the guest's grandmother's older brother and sister. The guest's childhood story that a man named Seward made this portrait is untrue. It was actually made in the 1840s by Joseph Whiting Stuck, an American painter known for his portraits, landscapes, and miniatures. He often painted children.
Well, I have no idea.
He often painted children. Looking closely, we can see the children holding fruits, a common detail in Whiting's portraits. The guest relined and renovated the portrait, which affects its value.
Had a special wheelchair made for him so he could travel around and paint.
Because purists and connoisseurs often judge paintings on their originality, which this artwork lacks now. In reflection of the quality of this portrait and its maker's reputation, despite slight renovation, it could still sell for.
In consultation with my colleagues, we all agreed that a good auction estimate for this painting would be $20,000 to $30,000.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
The guest brought in a mysterious box bearing a plaster head with human eyelashes and a strange-looking human hand. Willie Sutton was a famous bank-armed robber always in and out of prison, and these were what he used in an attempted breakout. History had it that he robbed over 100 banks and escaped from prison 3 times, and he used this dummy head and hand. The prison was run by the guest's grandfather, who kept the box in Camp Hill Prison until he retired after Sutton was released. Sutton made the dummy with human hair from a barber shop, and the same with the eyelashes, even though how he got the pigment is not known. In August of 1941, the escape attempt happened, but he later escaped and became the 11th person to be added to the FBI's most wanted list in 1950. Most of the escape tools used by prisoners are usually owned by the prison or prison museums, hence do not come up on auction tables. However, without the box and the provenance of the label on the box, it is just a head. So a conservative estimate at auction would be
Of $2,500 to $3,500. Wow, that's nice.
Our guest found a uniform buried in the attic of a house on a farm they bought. The appraiser explains the uniform's historical significance, noting that the former owner was part of a special operation dropped behind enemy lines in Norway during World War II. These operations were dangerous, involving sabotage of railway bridges, intelligence gathering, and other disruptive activities against the Germans. The appraiser notes that most World War II uniforms are not very valuable, usually worth $50 to $100, and that this particular uniform has extensive moth damage. The value of this uniform lies in the insignia on it, particularly the Special Forces SF wing on the shoulder, which is generally British-made and indicates training with the British. This SF wing is heavily faked due to its value, but
because you have a complete grouping where we know for a fact that this is the original wing. In fact, you can see in the photograph that he's wearing the wing in that very same uniform.
The appraiser states that the SF wing alone would have been valued between $1,800 and $2,000 in 2014. Because the uniform is part of a complete grouping with a verifiable history, the appraiser estimates the entire lot's retail value to be at
a retail value for the entire lot today with the man's identification, I would expect to be between $3,000 and $3,500.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
When her parents bought their first home, her mother insisted on American early antiques like this chair. The 18th century Windsor chair gained popularity for simplicity, comfort, and durability, originating in England. This lovely oval seat, likely from New England, reveals white pine when inspected underneath. The Windsor rocker, similar to the chair but with added rockers beneath its legs. This crest rail features hickory or ash spindles bending down to a small pillow atop the seat rail. The wood, commonly used in Rhode Island for its hardwoods, appears to be chestnut, fitting for the region. The legs and back typically attached to the seat with mortise and tenon joints for stability. In A Tale of Two Centuries, the appraiser valued the item.
You could easily put this chair for about $16,000.
$16,000?
$16,000, yeah.
Wow.
The guest brought in a fantastic-looking clothes dresser from about 30 years ago. With beautiful woodwork designs on the door, this old clothes dresser was used for keeping linens, blouses, and trousers in the 17th century. Since more value is placed on such items if they are American instead of British, it's important to find out if this clothes dresser is American. Firstly, the side wood fringe along the top is hardly seen in American pieces. Secondly, looking inside the cross-border drawers, the size is thin and made of English oak from the Georgian period. Also, there are screws at the edges, and the door, when opened, reveals shelves that can be pulled out easily. At the back, braces and light holes show classic British furniture. Though the design is wonderful with a great patina and wood finish, because it is not American, the value at auction would probably be around
$12,000 to $18,000. Wow. That's a good increase.
Great investment.
This guest brought a painting that used to be in his grandmother's house. It is from the 40s, and the artist's name is J. Clinton Shepard. Shepard was an illustrator, and this was one of his best paintings. The painting looks scary, as it features a hunter with his gun, sturdy boots, and headlights. At an auction, a reasonable estimate for this painting would be
between $5,000 and $7,000.
Okay, great.
The guest bought this print at an auction for $15 and has kept it rolled up in his house. There is a noticeable flaking at the edges of the print, which is why it has been rolled up for a long time. Made from different sheets and printed on different sheets of paper, the print is then mounted on linen and hung on a stand. It was done by William Strang in 1899 and was commissioned from Strang by the Artful School Association. The school produced prints that were sold to raise money for the school. It is done as an art and crafts style, but the condition issues would be expensive to fix. Once fixed, a retail value would be around
for about $1,500.
In this guest's hands for 3 decades, these jadeite maidens have a story to them. Originally stored in wooden boxes, the jadeite maidens have been kept away, shielded by tales of their value.
You know, it's a beautiful material. Jadeite is a very luscious stone. It comes in many, many colors.
Unveiled now, these maidens reveal a tale of craftsmanship and allure. Carved from jade, these maidens symbolize purity and nobility.
The stone, jade, symbolized purity, clarity of spirit.
Adorned with peonies representing wealth and righteousness. The lavender hue and apple green accents highlight the exquisite beauty of these maidens. Originating from Burma and crafted for the Western market, the maidens' appeal transcends cultures and time. Despite natural inclusions, the value of these maidens today still soars, and at auction, they would be worth.
These pieces, if they were up at auction, would have a pre-sale estimate of $25,000 to $40,000.
That's amazing.
The pocket watch was a gift from the grateful passengers of the Gratitude of Liverpool to her grandfather. An 1860s presentation pocket watch and fob likely epitomized Victorian craftsmanship and style. Pocket watches were symbols of status and sophistication, not just timekeepers. The fob, elegant and functional, secured the watch to a chain in the vest pocket. This is a demi-hunter or half-hunter watch with a small circle cut for quick time checks without lifting the cover. They often added a small enamel chapter ring with Roman numerals, giving the pocket watches a smart look. The inscription honored Jacob Best Davis, first mate of the Fredonia, for rescuing over 300 passengers. A testament to craftsmanship and elegance, the appraiser valued the item.
So I think a fair auction estimate would be $4,000 to $6,000.
Played before us are two pottery plaques. The guest parents arrived with items from Pollard. These plaques were crafted by a company called Rosenberg.
Made absolutely beautiful, wonderful, both porcelains and pottery. And these here are pottery.
We can further authenticate the items by observing the maker's mark on the back. Made circa 1885 to 1913, these plaques boast Art Nouveau designs.
At the same time, they were inspired by batik printed fabrics from the Dutch East Indies.
A design that was in vogue around the time these items were made. Art Nouveau designs consisting of flowers, rich green-colored leaves, and grape designs. It's amazing that these items are in such good condition, even though they were made a long time ago. These two plaques are in good condition. At auction, they are estimated to be worth...
So collectively, you're talking about $2,000 or $3,000.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even realize nothing about them, and this is really wonderful to know.
We have not one, but three busts with an astounding presence. The guests got these Hall of Fame busts from a friend. We see neatly sculpted busts made in the mid-90s by Palmer Murphy, one of America's top illustrators and sculptors, who focuses on lifelike recreations.
Makes these spectacularly rare. We don't see many being sold.
The Hall of Fame chose Murphy to create busts of famous baseball players. He sculpted 5 busts, including 3 named Musial, Mickey Mantle, and Babe Ruth, who are some of the greatest baseball players ever. The other 2 busts, which are not present, are even rarer than these 3, thereby putting these 3 busts rich in baseball history to be valued at...
And then you're looking at $3,500 to $4,000, okay?
Not every wing chair is as elaborate as this piece on display. This piece, also known as an easy chair, dates back to around 1815 to 1820.
The photo is a picture of my husband taken when he was 2 years old. It was taken in 1926 in the lap of his grandmother in the chair.
It was crafted in New York City and showcases several distinctive motifs typical of the era.
Around 1815 or 20 when this chair was made, and they became influenced by Regency furniture from England.
The monumental size and Greek-inspired styles are evident in its barrel-formed back, reminiscent of designs seen on Greek attic vases. Its klysmos rear leg, which curves back, further exemplifies the Regency and early Greek influence. The drum-form handhold, water-leafed carved urns, and the inlaid crotch-figured rectangle, along with the reeded legs, are hallmark features of New York furniture from this period. Originally, this chair is a symbol of status, often reserved for significant members of a household, and is worth...
This is probably worth in the area of about $20,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, that is a surprise.
Hunting for unique pottery tiles at every garage sale she can find, this guest has created a wonderful collection of pottery tiles.
I find them at garage sales. I go out hunting on Friday and Saturday mornings. And these are a group I had bought. I think I left a couple at home, but this is the group I brought today to show you.
These pieces were made by the San Jose Mission Potteries, a group of tile and pottery workshops founded in San Antonio, Texas in the 1930s by Ethel Wilson Harris. Harris was an enthusiast of traditional Mexican art and established the San Jose Potteries, along with 2 other potteries, to provide an outlet for Mexican artisans to produce native-inspired ceramic designs. These tiles exemplify the mission of these potteries. Although they bear no signature or dating, making it difficult to attribute them to one individual artist,
what you have very often, because they're seldom marked, and when they are marked, sometimes either it's with a tag which has come off with the years, or it is like this with the glaze.
They are collectively valuable to Mexicans and would sell at auction for
are roughly in the $600 to $800 range per tile. For $5, you did pretty well.
Oh, I think I did. That's great.
We have here a pair of vintage shoe buckles that were showcased on the show by this guest. The pair of shoe buckles was presented to one of her ancestors by General Oglethorpe. Oglethorpe was a British soldier, a member of Parliament, and the founder of the province of Georgia.
Everything that he touched really would have special significance.
The guest also brought a written genealogy of her family onto the show. Within the pages of the book, there's documentation of the buckles, which further adds to their authenticity. This pair was made in the 18th century. They feature conch shells cut into the shape of flowers with gold tops and riveted silver.
In the 1740s, this was exactly the style that was used, this very large buckle. General Oglethorpe came here in 1733.
These buckles have a rich provenance. It's no surprise that they are estimated to be worth
would be about $3,000, but this would be worth about $10,000. Goodness.
Here is a white teddy bear with remarkable beauty. The guest found this Steiff bear unexpectedly in a dumpster in Queens, USA. The bear's beautiful white fur, called mohair, comes from the long silky hair of the Angora goat.
What I like about it is it's a white mohair bear.
The teddy bear can be confirmed to have been made in the 1930s because of a red tag behind its ear, showing the production date. Looking closer, we can see its eyes are made of shiny glass.
That was actually right inside the bear. The market is very good for Steiff bears.
This bear is even more unique because the red tag was usually removed at the time of creation. At auction, this very rare teddy bear, found luckily in a dumpster, would sell for... Claire recounts how she found the table at a garage sale 30 years ago in need of restoration and purchased it for $25. The appraiser identifies the table as a Federal Inlay mahogany demi-lune card table made by John and Thomas Seymour, distinguished cabinet makers from Boston. This table features exquisite craftsmanship, including figured mahogany, intricate inlay work, satin wood decorations, and tapered bellflowers, showcasing the Seymour's skill and attention to detail. Claire reveals that she cleaned the table with linseed oil and turpentine, but didn't refinish it, preserving its old color and character. The appraiser and Leslie expressed their excitement at discovering the table's label.
And Les went up to the label and went and he said, "It isn't, is it?" And I said, "It is." And so it's really one of the most exciting moments I've ever had, Les.
Yeah.
The appraiser estimates the table's value to be at
Of about $200,000 to $225,000.
Wow.
Okay?
He found these toys at his aunt's house and stored them for about 30 years. 1960s Japanese spacemen and robot toys are prized collectibles, reflecting post-war innovation and a fascination with space. Made by TN and Showa, they're divided into 2 basic categories, space astronauts and space robots. Influenced by the space race, these toys often boasted futuristic designs and vibrant colors. On display are a spaceman, highly coveted and collectible, especially in pristine condition. The other significant category comprises robots, with one nicknamed Robbie the Robot. Made from tin, these toys showcased detailed lithography, offering mechanical features like walking, spinning, and lights. They're just some parts that is broken. Transported to a nostalgic era of space exploration, the appraiser valued the items.
Selling at auction for $2,000 to $3,000 a piece.
Wow.
This one would probably be $1,000 to $2,000 because somebody could repair that.
That would surprise me. I wouldn't have thought anything like that.
You might be wondering what's special about this so-called piece of paper. Well, in fact, it's not just a random piece of paper, but an award certificate. This certificate, originally belonging to the guest's grandfather, was issued to an elder called Jacob Gates by his church.
Appears to be almost a thank you certificate or an award from his church members in England.
Upon closer inspection of the certificate, it is ascertained that several groups appreciated Elder Gates for his good works. Also documented on the certificate is the fact that Elder Gates baptized over 400 souls. Done via hand calligraphy on parchment, this certificate is graphically very intriguing. A fair market value for this piece, due to the fact that they don't appear on the market very often, would be
$10,000 to $15,000.
That would surprise me. I wouldn't have thought anything like that.
The guest's father was the last original Cleveland Brown to retire after a long career from 1946 to 1968. He was known as Lou Gauza and was a great football kicker named in the Hall of Fame. The NCAA has an award named after him as the top kicker of the year. Before his death at the age of 76, he had an insurance company which he managed alongside his football career. The guest brought one of his football jerseys, one of his sideline jackets, and the first championship ring Lou received in the 19th century. Also, he brought a picture showing the ring on his father's finger while holding him up. Lou Gauza was part of the A-Champions team because his team, the Browns, won 4 championships in a row and competed in the NFL as a member club of the American Football Conference, AFC. All these items are to be insured. The sideline jacket should be insured for $5,000 and the jersey for $10,000. However, the ring, which is a masterpiece, should be insured for $45,000, bringing it to a total value of
around $60,000.
Okay. Wonderful.
Many people treasure gifts that reflect their interests and heritage. This guest received today's piece as a wedding present 24 years ago. The piece is an unfired bisque plate commemorating the 100-year anniversary of Texas's birth in 1836. This plate, dating from circa 1936, was used to celebrate the centennial of Texas independence from Mexico and was designed in England by Wedgwood. Featured on the plate are notable Texas figures.
This plate, they have Stephen F. Austin, we have Sam Houston, in the center is the Alamo, and all kinds of other scenes. Interestingly,
this specific plate was once owned by the DAR chapter in Austin, Texas. Unlike the typical blue glazed versions sold at the Centennial, this plate remains unglazed, making it a unique find.
So the plate that was actually sold at the Centennial is blue.
The rarity of this unglazed plate, along with its historical significance and its connection to Texas history and English craftsmanship, would make it worth
would be somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000.
Wow.
This guest bought this table in a shop in Toledo.
I bought this table in the early 1990s in a shop in downtown Toledo. Looked at it after work. I said, that's a really unusual table. I asked the guy how much he was asking for it.
It is a Baltimore-style Federal Center table crafted in the late 18th century, featuring a typical veneer-style tabletop with beautiful and delicate inlay on the edges. Made from mahogany wood, the table's legs showcase graduated bellflowers that are sand-burnt. The cuffs on the legs are present on all 4 sides and fairly complete on one leg, while the uneven feel on the underside of the tabletop helps to confirm its production date.
It's smooth, but it's still kind of uneven.
Uneven, right? You're feeling the plane marks from an 18th century plane.
Okay.
This high-quality mahogany Baltimore-style table has an estimated auction value of
would be $8,000 to $12,000. Not bad.
That's good.
$8,000 to $12,000 when you paid $800.
That's right. That's great.
That's a 10 times.
Thank
at
you.
least 10 times an increase.
house burned down, they rebuilt, and at the housewarming, friends gifted them this object. A gilt bronze plateau from around 1810 would likely be exquisite decor. Gilt bronze was favored for luxurious decorative items during that period, often in furnishings. A plateau is a raised surface for displaying decorative objects used as a centerpiece. It was used for displaying a variety of fruits and ceramic figures with wheels attached to its base. The anthemions were bronze cast pieces with surfaces adorned through fire gilding using mercury and gold. Pieces like these often featured intricate designs, including motifs from mythology, flora, fauna, or geometric patterns. Amidst the antique clutter, the appraiser valued the item.
We would give this an auction estimate of $50,000 to $70,000.
Oh my gosh, John. Oh my gosh, John. No. Oh.
A splash of bright colors, this poster that catches the eye was bought at an auction for $350. This poster is for the cabaret act of the Four Martin Sisters for outdoor music halls in Champs-Élysées from 1888. Although this poster is unsigned, you can be certain it is the work of an artist named Jules Chéret. He was named as one of the printers on the poster, but in actual fact, he is known as both the father of modern lithography and the father of the modern-day poster. He specialized in combining 4 colors into a virtual rainbow of lithographic colors. However, this poster was one of his early works and only has 3 colors, red, blue, and black. This is an important and valuable early work of this great artist with a fair auction estimate for
$1,500 to $2,000.
Oh
and
my
the great thing
goodness.
about auction is if other people feel it's as rare as I'm telling you, then the price can only go higher.
Wow.
In 1957, the guest searched for fine original art to adorn his first architectural office and purchased 2 onion skin watercolors by Huey Lee Smith, as they were the best he could afford then. The appraiser confirmed that each piece is an original watercolor on paper by Huey Lee Smith, an artist born in 1915 and who passed away in 1999. Lee Smith, born in Florida, was highly revered in Detroit and was the second African-American artist elected as an associate member of the National Academy of Design. Lee Smith's artworks depicted the plight of socially underprivileged people, issues of poverty and race, and often carried a strange undercurrent of surrealism, creating a sense of brooding and disquiet. The watercolors, signed and dated, represent his early career in the 1940s and 1950s, a period highly valued by collectors. Much to the guest's delight, the appraiser estimated that each watercolor would fetch,
in today's market, you're probably talking about auction estimates for each one of about $10,000 to $15,000.
I think that's fantastic.
Antique is from the 40s, passed down from one generation to another. It is a toy made by Gong Bell Manufacturing Company in Connecticut. This is a nursery rhyme toy with a bell attached to it, which rings as the toy moves. Hence, it's called a ding-dong bell because of the bell attached by the side. With original parts and design, this toy is in good condition and in the open market will be worth
$3,500 to $4,500.
You're kidding.
No.
Had no idea. That's great.
Presented on the show is an antique painting. This guest acquired the painting from her husband's grandmother,
and she gave me all these lovely things, and my little boy with the horn was one of them.
The painting is attributed to William Matthew Pryor. Pryor was an American folk artist known for his portraits, particularly of families and children.
Who was a New England artist. He was born in 1806 and died in the 1870s.
Painted in the 19th century, this visually appealing piece still retains its elegance. Captured in this painting is a boy seated on a chair with a ring on his finger and a horn in one hand. Unfortunately, the painting's frame has been replaced. At auction, this well-preserved painting would fetch a value of...
I would estimate him between $15,000 and $25,000. Well, wow!
What we have here is an extraordinary piece from the late 19th century in the form of a convertible bathtub encased in an East Lake-style chestnut cabinet. This piece is complete with incised flower heads and reeded pilasters. This intriguing piece is not just a relic of Victorian ingenuity, but a rare find that even seasoned appraisers have rarely encountered.
Where did you find this bathtub?
I bought this in Valley City, North Dakota about 2 years ago.
The bathtub itself is a testament to the inventive spirit of the era, akin to the space-saving Murphy beds of the same period. Ingeniously designed to fold away into a stylish cabinet, it features an improved bath heater system.
I mean, you can have thousands of people in one town and there'd be one bathtub. So this is pretty amazing that this one survived. It would have been made for probably a wealthy family.
Given that this convertible bathtub showcases the evolving history of hygiene, it will auction for
$3,500. And what'd you pay for it?
$2,500.
$2,500? Good for you. Good job.
Thanks.
a pyrographic blanket closet, a unique piece of folk art, was brought in by the guest. It was created using pyrography, a technique of burning designs onto wood with a heated metal tip. The wooden cabinet itself is likely Western red cedar, dating back to the late 1800s to early 1900s based on the hardware and construction style. However, the stunning Art Nouveau design on the pyrography artwork itself pointed to a creation date of around 1910 to 1915. The most captivating aspect of the artwork was the imagery: 10 panels featuring 7 winged babies, possibly representing deceased children, some with faint names inscribed on their foreheads. It was wondered if these were the artist's own children and if the artwork served as a personal story. The piece also held a sense of mystery. 2 of the children's figures had their outlines burned, but details like hair and eyebrows only penciled in, unfinished. This raises the speculation that the artist might have passed away before completing the work. The guest had purchased the piece for $300 in 1987 and never had it appraised. Due to the artwork's uniqueness and artistry, its auction value is
to $12,000.
But retail could go as high as
$15,000 to $20,000.
That's great.
The guest received this item from her mother, who bought it from a downtown shop in Anaheim. When her mother showed her this beautiful piece, she instantly knew it had historical value. The appraiser revealed that her mother might have bought it thinking it was a bedsheet, but it was actually an early American bed cover. The square positioning was evidence that it was indeed a bed cover, designed so that when placed on a bed, each square would be oriented correctly for viewing. At the top of the bed cover, 1830 was embroidered, indicating that it was made in 1830. The appraiser further revealed that the piece was likely made on the East Coast, most likely in Massachusetts or Connecticut. Surprisingly, this beautiful piece didn't have an artist's signature. The outer squares were beautifully embroidered with floral designs. The inner squares told a family story, with one square featuring an early American eagle holding a shield and arrows, another depicting a lion. In another box, there were images of 3 men, likely representing a merchant and a military man. A brick home with 3 chimneys suggested that the artist depicted their ancestral home in a very naive style. To the guest's surprise, the appraiser estimated the value of this beautiful art piece to be,
I would say, $22,000 to $25,000.
Oh my God. Whoa, I almost took a tumble there.
Heirlooms can tell incredible stories about the past. This guest inherited a unique piece of furniture from her mother-in-law, who was an avid collector. What we're looking at here is a chair table, a multifunctional piece that converts from a table to a chair.
Work table, obviously burn stains, markings.
Probably chopped on it,
did
everything.
Scrubbed.
Despite its worn appearance, the wear and tear add to its charm and history. In the 18th century, space was limited, and such multifunctional furniture was essential in American households. Upon close inspection, it's clear that almost every piece is original, except for the turning mechanism, which had to be replaced due to extensive use. The design tradition of this table comes from Northern Europe and England.
It was brought here to the particularly New England, New York colonies by both Dutch and English craftsmen.
When transformed into a chair, the original coloration of the piece, an old red stain, becomes evident, unifying the pine and maple components. The skilled turning work contrasts with the roughly assembled cabinet making, suggesting it was made around 1800. With its historical significance and almost complete original condition, this chair table at auction would be valued at
$2,000 to $3,000, possibly $2,000 to $4,000.
Really?
Acquired by her great-grandmother and passed on to her, this guest is on the show with a beautiful necklace for appraisal. The piece was made by Trevor Arthur and Mobsons and was later acquired by a French company. They designed much jewelry, especially for movie stars, and called them reflections. But the necklace had diminished in value because it's been repolished and would only be worth around $1,000 to $1,500. The other piece is a beautiful ballerina brooch by Van Cleef & Arpels in New York. It features a rose-cut diamond head, and its body is made of diamond and sapphire, purely glazed. At the back is a signature, so at an auction, this piece would fetch
How's $8,000 to $10,000?